Drilling technique question. Let's first understand the meaning of this sentence. A drilling technique known as hydraulic fracturing, where a mix of water and chemicals are blasted underground to create fissures in gas-bearing rocks, has made it much easier and cheaper to extract gas from shale, coal, and other less permeable geological formations. Okay, so this sentence talks about hydraulic fracturing. It first explains as to what this hydraulic fracturing is. So this is a drilling technique where a mix of water and chemicals are blasted underground to create fissures in gas-bearing rocks. So it explains what this hydraulic fracturing is. And then it talks about the benefit of this technique. What is the benefit? The benefit is that this technique has made it much easier and cheaper to extract gas from shale, coal, and other less permeable geological formations. So the meaning of this sentence is very clear. Now we'll proceed on to the error analysis to find what are the errors in this sentence. So first we will look at the sentence and split it into its smaller clauses in order to simplify our analysis. So a drilling technique known as hydraulic fracturing. So here known is not a verb, it's a verb ed modifier. And then you see the word where, which means there is another clause here, where a mix of water and chemicals are blasted. So a mix of water and chemicals is our subject here. Are blasted is the verb here. So let's just color them differently. A mix of are blasted, okay, underground to create fissures in gas-bearing rocks has made. So here we come to another verb here. So has made it much easier and cheaper to extract gas from shale, coal, and other less permeable geological formations. So this sentence has two clauses. The first clause has the subject technique and the verb is has made, okay, and then the second clause has the subject a mix of water and chemicals, and the verb is are blasted. So let's look at the subject verb agreement. So technique has made, both are singular, so it's correct. But look at this, a mix of water and chemicals are blasted. Now notice of water and chemicals is in the prepositional phrase, so this cannot be the subject. So the subject here is mix, and mix is singular, a mix, are blasted. So our singular subject with plural verb is not correct. So we have the subject verb number error. A mix should be is blasted. So that's the first error. Now let's move on to our pronoun analysis. Where is the pronoun, and where is used to modify, is used as a modifier or is used to refer to places. Now here we don't see any place. It's a drilling technique which is known as hydraulic fracturing, so there is no place here. So we have a pronoun or a modifier error, whatever you may like to call it, where should be replaced with in which. So those are the two errors in this sentence. There is a list here, but that's in the non-underlined portion: shale, coal, and other less permeable geological formations. So that we don't need to worry about that. Other than that, there are no errors in this sentence, and so these are the two errors that we need to take care of when we do our answer choice analysis. So now let's move on to our answer choice analysis. So our first sentence is wrong because of these two errors here. Now let's look at choice B. A drilling technique in which, so this has corrected the error of where, the modifier or the pronoun error, in which a mix of water and chemicals is blasted. So the subject verb and number error is also taken care of. So far both the errors of choice A have been taken care of in this choice. So in which a mix of water and chemicals is blasted underground to create fissures in gas-bearing rocks is known as hydraulic fracturing, making it much easier and cheaper to extract gas from shale, coal, blah blah blah. Okay, so grammatically this sentence does not appear to have any errors. However, the focus of this sentence is now changed, because now what this sentence is saying is that a drilling technique in which something happens is known as hydraulic fracturing, and this leads to making it easier and cheaper to extract gas from shale. So it appears as though the fact that this drilling technique is known as hydraulic fracturing, that fact leads leads it to make it cheaper and easier to extract gas from shale. So that is a complete distortion of the meaning of the sentence, and that is why this choice is incorrect. Even though it may appear to be grammatically correct, it actually distorts the meaning, and it distorts the meaning in that now it's not at all logical, because the fact that a drilling technique is known as hydraulic fracturing has no bearing on the difficulty of extracting gas from shale, coal and other less permeable geological formations. So it is very important to get the essence of the sentence, so that when you come across choices such as choice B, you can immediately point out that okay, this sentence has changed the whole meaning, even though it may appear to be grammatically correct. Okay, so let's look at choice C. A drilling technique known as hydraulic fracturing, in which a mix of water and chemicals, okay, so in which is taken care of, in which a mix of water and chemicals blasted underground. So here notice that we had are blasted or is blasted, so that was the verb. So blasted was the verb for the subject mix, but here we don't have is or are before it, so it means it's a verb ed modifier. So what it's saying is that a mix of water and chemicals blasted underground to create fissures in the gas bearing rocks has made. So now has made has actually become the subject or the verb of a mix. So it appears as though a mix has made it much easier and cheaper to extract gas. So this subject verb pair doesn't make sense, because we know that what has made the drilling technique has actually made it easier and cheaper to extract gas. This drilling technique that is known as hydraulic fracturing, that drilling technique has actually made it much easier and cheaper to extract gas. The mix has not made it easier and cheaper. So this sentence also distorts the meaning. Further, the subject here in the non-underlined portion, a drilling technique, this is the subject of our first clause, but now this subject no longer has any verb, because notice its original verb was has made, and now that is the verb for the subject mix. So you have two errors here. First of all, you have a fragment error, and secondly you have the meaning error, in that now the subject and the verb do not make sense. So again, this choice also tells us that it's very important to concentrate on the non-underlined portion of the sentence, because if you didn't focus on this, you would not have been able to spot the fragment error. And it's very important to understand the meaning of the sentence, because if you didn't understand the meaning, then you would not have been able to spot that okay, a mix has made it much easier. You wouldn't have been able to spot that there is any error over here. So very important to do thorough analysis of the original choice. And because you understood the sentence structure of the original choice, it was easier for you to say that okay, now the subject verb pairs are not the same as they were when I did the original analysis. So keeping those things in mind is very important. So now let's come to choice D. A drilling technique known as hydraulic fracturing, which is a mix of water and chemicals blasted underground to create fissures, has made. Okay, so here has made is still the verb for drilling technique. So the error in choice C is no longer in choice D. But notice here it says that hydraulic fracturing is a mix of water and chemicals. That is not correct. I mean, hydraulic fracturing is not a mix of water and chemicals. Hydraulic fracturing is a technique in which a mix of water and chemicals are blasted. So again, there is a meaning error here. This choice, even though grammatically it looks to be correct, which can easily modify the closest noun, but it doesn't make sense to say that hydraulic fracturing is a mix of water and chemicals. So again, we have to be very careful about the meaning of the sentence. So now this brings us to choice E, a drilling technique known as hydraulic fracturing, in which a mix of water and chemicals is blasted underground to create fissures in gas-bearing rocks, has made it much easier. So this choice appears to be correct. It retains the meaning of the original sentence. It doesn't incorporate any other grammatical errors. So this choice is absolutely correct. So choice E is the correct answer.